The security footage blinked to 17 a.m. when Lila and Dex raised from diapers tested my bedroom lock. Dex lurked behind her, a syringe glinting in the hallway moonlight. My breath vanished. This was their mercy. Months of poison hadn't worked. Tonight, they'd make it look like a heart attack. I stopped shaking. Let them come. The security feed flickered, frozen on Dex's syringe. My hands steadied. Let them come. But 20 years ago, I'd have torn the world apart for that girl testing my lock. I took Lila at 5 years old, still smelling of hospital antiseptic and lost birthdays. Her parents, my brother James and his wife Mara, vanished in a head-on collision with a drunk driver on Route 9. One phone call. And my life as a fledgling art curator in Paris evaporated. I packed my dreams in a storage unit that gathered dust for a decade. Lila arrived with a dinosaur plushie and night terrors. I learned to sleep on the floor beside her bed, singing off-key lullabies until dawn. When she started school, I took a second job at the library, shelving books until my spine screamed. Ballet lessons cost me my savings. Her first recital saw me pawning my mother's emerald ring, the only thing she'd left me. "Look, Auntie Elle, I'm a swan," she'd chirped in pink tulle, unaware I'd eaten oatmeal for dinner for a month to afford the costume. I never married. There was a man Ben, with kind eyes and a jazz pianist's hands, who asked me twice, but Lila hid behind my skirts, whispering, "Don't leave like mommy." Ben understood before I did. He kissed my forehead at the train station. "She needs all of you," he said. I watched his back disappear into the crowd, my throat raw. Sacrifice isn't grand. It's small deaths no one sees. Sitting in a dark ER at 3 a.m., stitching her knee after she wiped out on her bike. My shift at the diner, starting in 4 hours. Hand-stitching her homecoming dress, because the store-bought one itched, blood pricking. My fingers from the needle, holding back her hair at 16 while she vomited cheap vodka, sobbing about a boy named Kyle. "You're the only one who cares," she slurred into the toilet bowl. I didn't sleep that night, washing sour puke from my blouse. She started calling me mom at 12, not as a slip, deliberate, defiant. At parent-teacher conferences, she'd clutch my arm. "This is my mother." Pride swelled, foolish and fierce. I rewrote my will in her favor, liquidated stocks to fund her nursing degree. "I'll take care of you when you're old," she promised, pressing a daisy chain crown onto my hair. I believed her. Even when Dex slithered into our lives last year, Charmer's grin, hands too quick to touch her lower back. Even when my mystery illness began, fatigue, arrhythmia, bitter almonds on my tongue after Lila's special smoothies. "Stress," she crooned, massaging my temples. "You work too hard, Mom." Now the screen glowed, etching her silhouette against my door. That same girl, who'd sobbed over skinned knees, now testing locks. Who'd I raised? A stranger, with my sister's eyes and a killer's patience. The monitor buzzed. Dex raised the syringe. No. This wouldn't be my end. I'd bled for her. Now I'd bled them. Dex's shadow loomed on the monitor, syringe aimed at my bedroom lock. 20 years, I thought, I gave you everything. The screen blurred not from tears, but from the poison she'd fed me. I'd installed the cameras 3 months ago, after petty cash vanished. $20 from my purse, $50 from the cookie jar. I'd blamed Rosa, my Thursday cleaner. Lila coiled her arms around my neck, indignant. "Fire her, Mom. She's stealing from you." Her breath smelled like spearmint and lies. I bought the cameras instead. 4 hidden eyes, living room, hallway, kitchen, my bedroom door. The illness began weeks later, fatigued like wet cement, heart skittering like a trapped bird. Waking to the taste of bitter almonds, Lila fretted, mixing wellness smoothies. At dawn, "Drink up, Mom. Dr. Gould says kale fights anemia." I drank, trusted, even when my vision speckled, even when I collapsed in the garden, fingernails blue. Tonight, I couldn't sleep. My heart thumped a ragged rhythm. At 2:05 a.m., I shuffled to the kitchen for water. The security monitor glowed on the counter. Habits since the theft. At 2:07 a.m., Lila's bedroom door creaked open. Dex emerged. Not Lila. He slunk down the hall, tested my doorknob, locked, disappeared into the kitchen. At 2:12 a.m., Lila followed, phone flashlight on. They huddled by the fridge. Dex poured liquid into a syringe. Rat poison. Insulin. My bones turned to ice. At 2:14 a.m., Lila's whisper hissed through the audio feed. Old dosage wasn't enough. She puked it up Tuesday. Dex's reply gritted through clenched teeth. "This'll stop her heart." Make it look like failure. Lila touched his arm. Finally. Then the house, the life insurance. Everything's ours. The world dropped away. Sound dissolved. Only the monitors. Time-stamped pulsed. 2:17 a.m. I vomited. Violent, heaving gags ripped my throat raw. Oatmeal and kale sludge splattered the stainless steel sink. My hands shook so violently I couldn't grip the faucet. Water roared, drowning my wretches. How long? Months of her care. Months of murder. I slid down the cabinets, spine scraping granite. Cold tile bit through my nightgown. The taste of bile and almonds choked me. Her hands mixing the smoothie. Her laughter as I choked it down. All for you, Mom. Memories detonated. 2 weeks ago, Lila cleaning my coffee mug with a trembling cloth. Had she wiped the rim with poison? Last Sunday, Dex fixing my heart rate monitor. Did he tamper with the readings? Tonight's dinner, Lila heaping extra spinach on my plate. For your iron mama. I crawled to the trash can, dry heaving, spit hung from my chin. My pulse hammered in my neck too fast. Was this the dose that would kill me? Why? The will, the house, the $250,000 life insurance policy I'd signed for her future security. I'd sold James' vintage Mustang to fund her nursing school. I'd skipped my own thyroid meds to pay for her NCLEX prep course. You're my rock. She'd wept last Christmas, handing me a $5 scarf. I'd worn it like diamonds, all while she measured my death in milligrams. On screen, Dex slid the syringe into the lock's keyhole. My father's trick he'd picked, locks for fun. Lila watched, arms crossed. No remorse, just impatience. A spasm seized my chest. I gasped, clawing at my nightgown. Is this it? I fumbled for my phone. 911 would bring sirens. They'd flee. Evidence gone. Then a memory. Ben's voice, smoky and calm from a lifetime ago, when the wolves circle. Ellie, go quieter, smarter. My trembling stopped. Air flooded my lungs. I muted the sink faucet, wiped vomit from my mouth with a dish towel. Stood. Plan. First, play dead. Let them think I slept through the break-in. Second, preserve proof. Save the footage. Copy it everywhere. Third, find an ally, someone they'd never suspect. Dex jiggled the lock, almost in. I moved. Fast, I flushed the vomit, scrubbed the sink with bleach, rinsed my mouth with mouthwash, slid into bed, back to the door, breathing deep and even. The door whispered open. Footsteps, too light for Dex. Lila, her scent vanilla lotion I'd bought her filled the room. She stopped at my bedside. I felt her stare. Is she checking my pulse? Waiting for a death rattle. Dex hovered in the doorway, syringe glinting. Now, he mouthed. Lila leaned close. Her breath grazed my ear. Testing. I kept my breaths slow, rhythmic, asleep, unaware. Not yet, she murmured. The digitalis needs an hour. If we inject now, the talk screen will show puncture marks. Digitalis foxglove poison. Untraceable in low doses. Cumulative. My heart failure. She smoothed my hair. A gesture she'd done since childhood. Rest. Mom, she cooed. It'll be over soon. The door clicked shut. Alone, I opened my eyes. Stared at the moonlit wall. Tears came then. Silent, scalding rivers. Not for me, for the little girl who'd once sobbed over a dead goldfish. Auntie L, do fish go to heaven? I buried it under the rose bush. Sung Amazing Grace. Who did I bury tonight? The click of the bedroom door echoed like a coffin ceiling. Moonlight bled through the curtains, striping the quilt Lila had sewn for my 50th patchwork of our memories. Mom, she'd said, stitching squares from her first ballet tutu, my flower-dusted apron, Ben's old flannel. Now it lay heavy as a shroud. The salt of drying tears tightened my skin, but beneath it, something else crystallized. The fragile warmth I'd carried for her, mom glow, that survived night terrors and emptied savings account. Not with a whimper, but with the silent, lethal snap of ice calving from a glacier. They weren't just stealing, they were erasing me. The house mortgaged for her degree, the life insurance policy signed with her future in mind, even the cause of death prescripted natural causes. A nurse's final insult. Months of poison served in kale smoothies while I baked her favorite lasagna. Months of whispered calculations over my dying body. I swung my legs over the bed. The floorboards groaned, the same ones that sang under her Christmas morning sprints. Now they sounded like old bones settling. Fitting. I moved through the dark, not with grief's stumble, but with the predator's quiet grace. First, the half-finished wellness smoothie on my nightstand. Neon green sludge swirled down the toilet bowl. Next, the deadbolt slid home on my bedroom door. A satisfying thunk Dex's lockpicks couldn't breach. Then, the security monitor's cold glow. My fingers flew over the keyboard, downloading the 2:17 a.m. footage. Digitalis_confession.mp4 saved 2-3 cloud drives, 1 encrypted. My hands didn't tremble. My breath didn't catch. The world had sharpened dust motes danced in the moonlight. The sour tang of fear clung to my skin. The keyboard's clicks were gunshots in the silence. I pulled Lila's baby album from the closet shelf, not for comfort, for ammunition, tucked between pages of gap-toothed smiles and finger-painted masterpieces. A crumpled pharmacy receipt for foxglove. Extract shipped to Dex's P.O. box. A printed email to her law school friend. Mom's will leaves everything to me. No contingencies. Easy transfer. And a sticky note in her looping script. Dosage increased 5 milliliters daily. Cardiac event ETA. 3 weeks. Each slip was a brick in the mausoleum they'd built for me. Now, I'd dismantle it, brick by brick. Frank's number lit the screen. Ben's best friend, ex-homicide. The man who taught Lila to ride a bike without training wheels. He answered on the second ring, voice thick with sleep. Ellie. Everything. Al, they're poisoning me. Frank. Silence. Then a sharp, indrawn breath. Who? Lila and Dex. The pause stretched taut. When he spoke again, sleep had vanished, replaced by the gravelled precision of a man recalling his trade. Tell me everything. I did. Dates matched to symptoms. The Digitalis confession on video. The receipts. The damning note. My voice stayed flat, detached, like I was reading a coroner's report. Frank's rage was a silent vibration through the line. I'm coming. 20 minutes. Don't let them near you. Don't touch anything they've given you. Wait. My reflection in the dark window stared back hollow-eyed, but unnervingly steady. No police. Not yet. Ellie, for Christ's sake, arrests end the game. I want ruination. Another pause. Softer now. What's the play? Immunity first. I need a toxin panel before my body purges this. Proof. It's in my system. Who? Dr. Chen. Clinic opens at 7. I'd sat with her daughter through a 6-hour panic attack when the schools locked down. Some debts were paid in silence. Done. What else? Lila's digital trail. Texts. Emails. Search history. Every how to kill query. Every insurance payout discussion. Frank's low chuckle was a dark, approving thing. Still got friends. In cybercrimes. Consider it my retirement project. By 4 a.m., the blueprint was clear. Play deader. Let their final dose work its magic. Trap them with their own greed. When Dex's knuckles rapped on my door at 6:30, rise and shine. Mama E. Fuel up. I shuffled out, shoulders slumped, a tremor feigned in my hands. Lila beamed, thrusting a glass of vile green sludge at me. Extra electrolytes today. Doctor's orders. Her eyes tracked my throat as I lifted the glass, watching for the swallow. I let my lips brush the rim, the acrid scent of blended greens and foxglove extract, stinging my nostrils. So tired, baby, I rasped, setting the untouched smoothie aside with a shaky hand. Just, ... need rest. Her smile tightened, but triumph glittered beneath. Of course, Mom, rest is best. Later, I poured the poison down the sink, watching it swirl away like the ghost of the child she'd been. Dr. Chun's clinic smelled of antiseptic and dread. She scanned the evidence, the video, the receipts. My shaky handwriting detailing symptoms, her face hardening into marble. Blood, urine, hair, follicles. I'll need it all. But Ellie, her voice faltered. I'm mandated to report this. Attempted murder. Frank stepped from the shadows near the door. Give us 48 hours. Let her secure her assets before they know the walls are closing in. Dr. Chen studied me, the woman who'd held her sobbing child 30 seconds. You wear this. She slapped a heart monitor against my chest, its cold sensor a brand over my racing heart. If your rhythm dips below 40, I call SWAT. Deal. Back home, I found Lila in the backyard, not tending the roses, but destroying them. My heirloom teacup roses, the ones Ben had planted for our anniversary, lay in mangled heaps, roots ripped bare. She hacked at the earth with violent thrusts of a shovel, making room for hydrangeas. She chirped, sweat gleaming on her forehead. More modern, don't you think? I remembered kneeling beside her here, showing her how to prune. Cut here, sweetheart, just above the bud. It makes them stronger. Now, She severed roots with brutal efficiency. I met her gaze across the ravaged earth. No words, only the silent, chilling promise in my stillness. Soon, little viper, I thought, watching dirt stain her manicured hands, you'll learn what happens when you try to dig up a woman who knows exactly how deep her roots go. Dirt clung under Lila's fingernails as she shredded the last rosebush. I said nothing, just turned and walked inside, the ghost of Ben's flowers screaming from the earth. Play deader, Frank had said. So I did. When Lila bustled in, hours later, flushed and grinning, I offered weak smiles and weaker tea. Feeling better, Mom, she chirped, scrubbing soil from her hands at my sink. The fresh air helped, I lied, watching her reflection in the window. Her eyes darted to the untouched smoothie glass. I coughed a wet, rattling sound I'd practiced in the mirror. Just need to rest. Lila's teeth sank into the cookie, her smile stretching tight as a tripwire. Delicious, Mom. Crumbs clung to the corner of her mouth, the same lips that had whispered cardiac event ETA, 3 weeks. I forced my own smile, brittle as antique porcelain, and poured her a glass of milk. The carton shook in my hand, real tremors now, adrenaline scorching through the digitalis haze. She took it, her gaze lingering on my trembling fingers. Satisfaction glinted in her eyes, like shards of broken glass. Good. Let her think the poison's winning. Frank arrived 10 minutes after. Her car vanished down the street. Yoga mats, a flimsy cover for plotting murder at the derelict drive-in. He filled the doorway, shoulders blocking the morning sun, a worn leather satchel slung across his broad chest like armor. His cop's eyes scanned me in one swift, brutal assessment, the pallor I hadn't faked, the tremor in the coffee cup. I clutched like a lifeline, the heart monitor's cold sensor peeking above my collar. His jaw hardened into granite. Show me. I led him to Ben's study, the air thick with ghosts and good intentions. Lila's radiant graduation photo beamed from the mahogany desk where Ben once balanced our budgets. I opened the cheerful cookie tin. No treats inside. Only evidence. Dr. Chen's toxicology report lay on top like a death certificate. Frank read it silently, his gaze absorbing every damning line. Asterisk, digitalis glycosides at 3.2 ng/ml. Accumulation, consistent with chronic poisoning. High risk of fatal arrhythmia. Asterisk, a muscle twitched beneath his left eye. Jesus, Ellie. The words scraped out raw. There's more. I powered up Ben's old laptop, the one Lila dismissed as junk. The 2:17 a.m. footage flickered to life. Lila's shadow testing the lock. Dex's syringe catching the moonlight. The audio hissed into the stillness. Old dosage wasn't enough. Make it look like her heart finally gave out. Everything's ours. Frank didn't move, didn't blink. His knuckles whitened on the desk edge, the wood groaning in protest. When the screen went dark, he stared at Lila's graduation photo. I taught her to change attire right out there, he said, voice hollow as an empty grave. She cried when she scraped the fender. She's not crying now. I slid the keylogger report toward him. She's pricing headstones. Frank's eyes devoured the searches. Digitalis half-life in elderly. Contest life insurance if suicide suspected. Best hydrangeas to plant over graves. His face transformed, rage cooling into something harder. Sharper blade forged in ice. Okay, he snapped the laptop shut. What do you need? A war plan, Frank. Not a slap on the wrist. A scorched earth campaign. My voice, steadied by his presence, cut through the fear like steel. I want them in cages. I want them broke. I want them to look in the mirror and see the monsters I see. He nodded, pulling a notepad from his satchel. Then we hit them in layers. Legal first, financial second, personal last. His pen flew across the page. We start with, a restraining order kicks Dex out today, limits Lila's access. Based on the footage and the talks report, it'll stick. Then, we petition for emergency guardianship over Lila. He paused, seeing my flinch. Psychological evaluation, cite the poisoning, the searches, frame it as her instability, makes her look dangerous, freezes any inheritance grab. Meanwhile, my buddy Vargas in Major Crimes builds the arrest warrant quietly. No sirens until we're ready. Financially, we freeze everything. Gloria Chun, sharpest damn lawyer I know. No relation to your doc files to lock their accounts, their shell companies. Petitions the life insurer to suspend payout pending criminal investigation. She slaps a lien on this house for elder exploitation and attempted murder damages. traps them in their own crime scene. Personally, Frank's gaze turned arctic. We leak it. An anonymous tip to the nursing board about Lila's license. A whisper in Dex's gym about his side hustle poisoning lonely women. Let the rot set in before the handcuffs do. Will, the question felt like glass in my throat. She thinks it's hers. Frank's smile was a knife wound. Ben's will left everything to you. You never amended it to name Lila. You just bought a separate life insurance policy from her, the house, the investments, everything else, still yours. She gets nothing. A sob tore loose, not grief, but savage relief. All those years of guilt for not formally adopting her, for keeping Ben's estate separate. It had been a buried shield. She doesn't know. No. Frank tapped the keylogger report. Too busy Googling undetectable poisons. Gloria found the truth last night. Outside, a car door slammed. Lila's laugh, high and false as tin, pierced the air. Mom, fresh kale juice. Frank stood, tucking the evidence into his satchel. Asterisk time to vanish. My cabin upstate, no signals. Landline only. Vargas will have eyes on this place 24/7. You're too sick for visitors. Asterisk, he gripped my shoulders. His hands warm, solid anchors in the quicksand. Can you keep playing dead? On the hallway monitor, Lila stood in the foyer, holding a frothy green glass. Her smile was a predator's grimace. I picked up the cookie tin now filled with actual cookies and smoothed my nightgown. One last performance, I whispered, and opened the door to meet my executioner, holding the weapon that would bury her. The kale juice's chlorophyll stench hung thick as fog. Lila thrust the glass forward, her smile stretched thin over bone-deep malice. Doctor says hydration flushes toxins. I took it, fingers brushing hers cold and smooth as river stones. Just like the foxglove vials in your nightstand, I thought, recalling Frank's keylogger report. Mask digitalis taste with spirulina. I feigned a sip, the viscous green coating my tongue. So thoughtful, baby. Behind me, the cookie tin sat heavy on the hall table. Gloria Chen's legal filings and Frank's first evidence packet now replaced the sweets. Frank's cabin became my fortress behind resin, wood smoke and blessed silence. No cell signals pierced the mountains. Only a landline wired to a military-grade scrambler connected me to the unfolding endgame. Vargas' plainclothes team watched the house. Disguised as landscapers tending the hydrangeas, Lila planted over Ben's slaughtered roses. From this distance, the case built itself with grim precision. Frank's daily calls crackled with progress. Phone records revealed months of 2 a.m. calls between Lila and Dex, cold durations. Mirrored nights, my heart monitor spiked arrhythmias. 22 minutes average, Frank reported. Long enough to calibrate murder. I gripped the receiver, imagining Dex's hands measuring poison while Lila timed my decline. Financial trails led to rot. Gloria traced $15,000 from my savings to Dex's shell company, D&L Landscaping. A transaction dated the week he ordered bulk foxglove extract. Another $8,000 vanished last month for a work truck registered to a known chop shop. Roof money, I whispered, remembering Lila's tears over structural emergencies as Dex bought my coffin supplies. Freeze it all. Frank's reply was "Saiston and Gloria fi experte." Their accounts are frozen solid. Dex's digital footprints sank them deeper. Cybercrimes dredged his dark web activity. Orders for synthetic digitalis analogs. Forum posts under Gravedigger Dex, advising chronic low-dose mimics heart failure in elderly targets. The cabin walls seemed to lean in. Gravedigger Dex, the boy who'd devoured my cookies with grease under his nails. Save every bite, I breathed, for the jury. Dr. Chen's hair follicle test delivered the kill shot. Traces of digitoxina synthetic variant undetectable in standard panels. Laced my strands. Half-life 6 days. They switched. Poisons last month when you improved, Frank said. My fingers brushed the heart monitor. That's why the arrhythmias eased when I stopped the smoothies. They'd upgraded their weapon. Proof it's deliberate. Chun's affidavit states, administration requires sustained, malicious intent. The beneficiary fraud was their noose. Gloria subpoenaed Lila's email, unearthing forged life insurance forms. My signature, shaky and misspelled, dated after I was supposedly too ill to write. Lila had notarized it herself using a stamp stolen from her clinic. Originals are in her desk, Frank said. Vargas seizes them at dawn. Each revelation was a brick in their tomb. Lila called the landline daily. her voice surreptic. You sound stronger, Mom. I'd cough, voice fraying. The quiet helps, but I miss you soon. She'd trill. Rest is best. I'd hang up and replay Frank's updates. Lila charging designer dresses, funeral wear. Frank guessed. Dex pawning his Rolex escape cash for when you die. He snarled. The final blow landed on day 7. Frank's voice crackled with ferocious calm. Dawn raid warrants signed. House, devices, safe deposit box, takes it all. The will. Gloria filed Ben's true will today. Lila inherits nothing. The life insurance is void fraudulent beneficiary change. She gets cages, not cash. Silence hummed, electric as a live wire. Frank, the cookie tin. Evidence. Locker item number 1, he confirmed as I walked onto the cabin porch. Dawn bled crimson over the pines, the color of poison berries, of fresh blood. I dialed Lila. She answered, breathless. Mom, are you bad night? I whispered, trembling manufactured heart fluttering, scared. Should I come? Bring a smoothie? Eagerness sharpened her words. No, just talk. Like, when you were little. A pause, impatient. About what? Mr. Wiggles, your goldfish. God, Mom, an ancient history. We buried him under the roses. You cried. Asked if fish go to heaven. Another pause. Colder. It's a fish. Who cares? The last thread between us snapped. I did, I said softly. I cared. I hung up. In the city, Vargas' team would be moving. Kevlar vests strapped, evidence bags zipped. Silent approach to the house where hydrangeas now choked the graves of Rose's and nearly mine. Frank called minutes later. She just tried to strong-arm the bank manager into your safe deposit box. Told him you were dying, desperate. Security detained her. Vargas is en route. Good, I said. You ready? Outside, the crimson dawn deepened. Let's bury them. Frank's voice hardened. Vargas needs one more thing. Current intent. We have passed attempts, but for attempted murder charges to stick at trial. We need them caught in the act. Now. The line hissed with static. Let them make a move, safely monitored. My blood turned to ice water. Let them near me again. Let them try. The digitalis still whispered in my veins. How? You're recovering at the cabin, right? Call Lila. Tell her you found Ben's old heart pills, nitroglycerin. Say they're expired, but you're desperate. Scared, ask her if they'd interact with the digitalis she's been giving you. The cruelty was surgical. Lila would hear 2 things, vulnerability and a confession. I knew about the poison. It would panic her, force her hand. She come, I whispered. Or send Dex. Vargas will have the cabin wired, audio, video, thermal, sniper, overwatch in the pines. They touch you, we swarm. Frank paused. It's your call, Ellie, only if you're cold enough. I looked at the heart monitor, blinking on my wrist. Dr. Chen's warning echoed, below 40 BPM. I call SWAT. My current rhythm, 52. Fear was a live wire, but beneath it, fury, deep and tectonic. Do it. I made the call. Let my voice fray like rotten thread. Lila, baby. I found Daddy's old nitro pills in his fishing tackle box. Expired 10 years, but my chest is so tight. A choked sob. Would they hurt with the digitalis? Silence. Then, breathless. Digitalis. Mom, what are you? In the smoothies, sweetheart. You told me. For my heart I injected bewildered trust. Are they safe? With nitro, please. I'm so scared. A beat, too, when she spoke. Triumph vibrated beneath faux concern. Oh, those herbs. Totally safe. But don't take the nitro yet. Dex and I will bring something better, stronger. We're coming now. Hurry. I whispered, and hung up. I placed the dusty bottle of Ben's ancient nitroglycerin on the kitchen table. Left the cabin door unlocked, drew the curtains except for one slit overlooking the driveway. Then, I waited. The forest held its breath. No birdsong, no wind, just the low thrum of surveillance vans hidden down the dirt road, and Frank's voice a ghost in my earpiece. Their en route, black SUV, ETA, 12 minutes. I sat at Ben's old oak table, hands folded, not shaking, ready. The fear was real, a serpent coiling in my gut, but the fury, it was the hand around the serpent's neck, squeezing. Through the curtain gap, I watched the first shadow fall across the porch. The shadow on the porch thickened. Lila's knuckles rapped too loud, too fast. Mom, it's me. I didn't move. Let her push the unlocked door open. Let her see me slumped at Ben's table, the nitroglycerin bottle clutched in my limp hand. "Oh, Mom," her voice dripped with saccharine pity. Dex lurked behind her, a hulking silhouette against the dawn-lightened trees. Lila rushed to me, for concern pinching her brow. She pried the bottle from my fingers. "Expired years ago. Lucky we brought something stronger." From her purse, she pulled not a vial, but a blister pack of white pills, not digitalis, something new, something fast. "Dex's uncle is a cardiologist," she lied, popping to pills free, special compounded nitrate, works in minutes. She bustled to the stove, filled my chipped #1 Mom mug with water. Her back blocked my view, but the crunch 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 of pills being crushed between a spoon and mug bottom was unmistakable. "Here," she crooned, swirling the cloudy water. "Mummy's magic tea." She brought it to me, steam curling like poison breath. Her eyes held no mercy, only impatience. "Drink, it'll stop the pain." I lifted the mug, my hand trembled real tremors, now, not from fear, from the sheer, scalding rage of her hands on Ben's mug, her lie in his kitchen, her betrayal in the home I'd shared with the man who'd loved her. As the rim touched my lips, the cabin door exploded inward. Vargas flooded the room, Kevlar vests, drawn weapons, laser sights painting red dots on Lila's chest. Dex spun, bolting for the porch, a taser prong cracked into his back. He convulsed, crashing face first into the dirt, pinned by 2 officers. Lila screamed, not fear, rage, primal and raw. She whirled, the mug shattering on the floorboards, cloudy, water splashing Vargas' boots. "No," she lunged, not at the cops, but at me, fingers hooked like talons. "You ruined everything." Vargas caught her arm, wrenching it behind her back. Cuffs snapped shut, she thrashed, spittle-flying eyes locked on mine with pure, venomous hate. "You were supposed to die, you selfish, rotting cow." Frank stepped from the hallway shadows, a silent sentinel. He hadn't been in the surveillance van. He'd been here, watching, protecting. He moved to my side, a solid wall between me and Lila's fury. "Rot," Frank's voice cut through her shrieks like a blade. He nodded at the officers wrestling her toward the door. "Look in the mirror, kid. You planted your own grave the day you poisoned the woman who wiped your ass." Lila's scream dissolved into a guttural sob as they dragged her out, past Dex, already sobbing, into the dirt. I didn't touch her. It was Lila. All Lila. Silence rushed in, thick and stunned. Vargas approached, holding an evidence bag containing the crushed pills. "Tadalafel," he said, "high-dose ad medication, mixed with nitrates." He whistled low. "Would have dropped your BP so fast, you'd have stroked out before we hit the highway." I stared at the muddy puddle on the floor, Lila's magic tea seeping into Ben's oak planks. Frank's hand settled on my shoulder, warm and grounding. Outside, the rising sun painted the pines in gold and crimson. No sirens yet, just birdsong reclaiming the silence, and the distant thunk of car doors closing as they hauled away the ruins of the family I'd built. Frank squeezed my shoulder. "It's done." I leaned into his solid presence, watching the light spread. "No," I whispered, the first true breath filling my lungs in months. "It's just beginning." The headlines erupted like shrapnel. Nurse, niece, plotted aunts, poison death. Lila's booking photo mascara streaked like war paint. Lips peeled back from her teeth in a feral snarl dominated the front page. Dex's tear-blurred face followed. Boyfriend blames evil mastermind in murder for inheritance scheme. The carefully nurtured world I'd built for Lila imploded overnight. The nursing board revoked her license before her arraignment. Women from the church auxiliary, who'd once praised her saintly devotion, now clutched their pearls and rosaries at the grocery store. "Demons walk among us in scrubs," old Mrs. Gable hissed, crossing herself as my cart passed. Charges stacked like bricks around them: attempted murder, premeditated, conspiracy, grand theft, elder abuse, forgery. Bail was a fantasy. Judge Callahan branded them a profound flight risk and enduring danger. At the plea hearing, Dex's voice cracked as he took 15 years in exchange for testifying. Lila erupted, a caged animal spitting venom. "Traitor, sniveling coward," as deputies wrestled her from the courtroom. Her sentencing lasted 9 glacial minutes. Life, parole eligibility in 25 years. When the gavel fell, her black hole eyes locked onto mine across the gallery. No little girl remained in that gaze. Only ash and infinite hate. I held it, unblinking, until they dragged her away. The goldfish mourner was gone. Only the poisoner remained. Gloria Chen descended on their hollow lives with the precision of a diamond cutter. Every bank account Lila and Dex possessed the $8,742 in their joint checking. Dex's $3,200 landscaping slush fund froze solid. Repossession agents hauled away the sleek black SUV Dex had bought with my roof money. They took the diamond, tennis bracelet Lila charged to my credit card for job interviews. Mom, gotta look the part. Gloria filed the civil suit within hours of the criminal conviction. The judge awarded me punitive damages and restitution that stripped them utterly, their meager savings, Dex's high-end gaming rig, even the absurdly expensive black sheath dress Lila had bought for my funeral. Poetic justice, Gloria murmured as the bailiff handed me the keys to Dex's repossessed SUV, funding your renaissance with the tools of your betrayal. The house was the final reckoning. My house, where Ben had taken his last breath, where Lila had ground digitalis into my morning oatmeal. I walked its empty, echoing halls alone. Ghosts of laughter lingered where Dex's brutalized hydrangeas now choked the flowerbeds. In Lila's stripped-bare room, I found her meticulous garden renovation plan, sketches still taped to the mirror blueprints for my erasure. I tore them down, confetti on the bare floor. The realtor listed it that afternoon. The buyers, Mara and Ben, same name as my late husband. I told them we're newlyweds. Mara cried when she saw the sun-drenched kitchen. We'll fill it with so much love, she promised. I sold it to them for a symbolic $1, below asking. From Frank's idling car down the street, I watched them waltz, laughing, across the empty living room floor, their joy a cleansing flood over the poison-stained wood. The civil settlement check arrived. $127,300. Blood money forged from Dex's plea bargain savings, Lila's pawn trinkets, and the SUV's sale. I deposited every cent into a new account labeled Eleanor's Vengeance Fund. Its first expenditure bought Table 1 at Crestview Nursing School's annual gala. Lila had sketched gowns for this event since her first semester. When Dean Whitaker approached the podium to announce the inaugural Eleanor Mayfield Resilience Scholarship, a full ride for nursing students overcoming profound family trauma, he gestured to my front row seat. The spotlight found me. Polite applause rippled. Then the massive screen behind him ignited, not with inspiring imagery, but with evidence. Lila's snarling mugshot, a clip of Dex's tearful plea bargain. She made the plans. I just got the poison. Headlines blazed. Trusted niece charged in ant poisoning. The applause died, strangled by a collective gasp. I rose, took the mic, my voice echoing in the stunned silence. This scholarship ensures no aspiring healer must sacrifice their humanity on the altar of ambition. Unlike my niece, later a prison guard generously compensated for his discretion confirmed. Lila had watched the local news coverage in the rec room, smashed her plastic tray. He reported, screamed something about you stealing her legacy. Lila had coveted my grandmother's pearls since she was 12. Begging to wear them at her middle school graduation. When you're older, I'd always said. Now, I fastened them around my neck for her first parole hearing. The prison visiting room reeked of industrial cleaner and crushed hope. Lila shuffled in, swallowed by her orange jumpsuit, eyes dull as tarnished pennies. They snagged on the pearls. A tremor ran through her. Why? Her voice was sandpaper on stone. You told the board you're rehabilitated, I said, leaning slightly forward. The pearls cool against my skin. But rehabilitation requires remorse. Do you feel any, Lila? For Ben's roses? For the poison? For Mr. Wiggles? Her gaze remained fixed on the luminous strands. You took everything I had. You tried to take my life, I countered softly. I touched a single, perfect pearl. These belonged to your great-grandmother. She survived war, famine, a husband who broke her ribs. She would have looked at you and seen only rot. Lila flinched as if struck. The parole officer's pen scratched decisively across his notepad. Denied the Crestview Hospital charity ball was the crown jewel Lila had fantasized about. I bought Table 1 dead center beneath the crystal chandelier. Frank escorted me. I wore emerald silk, Lila's favorite color, and had my hair styled in the sleek bob she'd always pestered me to try. The pearls glowed at my throat. Whispers trailed me like smoke. That's her, the aunt who survived. Camera flashes popped. I sipped champagne paid for with Dex's ill-gotten landscaping profits. Midway through the main course, Dean Whitaker again summoned the spotlight, honoring the founder of our Resilience Scholarship, Eleanor Mayfield. I stood, the grand ballroom plunged into expectant silence. Your generosity, I said, my voice clear and carrying, funds futures nearly extinguished by those entrusted with their care. I raised my glass, not to the room, but directly toward the local news camera broadcasting the event, to survival, and to the vibrant hydrangeas thriving in my new garden, precisely where my cherished roses once grew. Lila Hurd, a former nurse, whose mother Gloria had helped escape an abusive guardian, wrote to me from her prison correspondence with Lila. She raged for 3 days straight, called the pearls witch beads, said you were dancing on her grave. I framed that letter. It hangs beside Lila's furious mugshot in my seaside study. The proceeds from the house sale. Built a whitewashed cottage perched on a cliff overlooking the restless ocean. Frank helped me plant the first roses in the salty soil. No hydrangeas, he teased, watching me tuck a bare root bush into the earth. Only thorns and salt spray here, I replied, patting the soil firm. He brushed dirt from his hands, his gaze softening. She tried her damnedest to bury you, Ellie. I know, I said, watching the setting sun bleed crimson and gold across the waves. A gull cried overhead. But graves require stillness. I touched the pearls at my throat. Their cool, ancient surface, a silent testament, and I smiled, the sea wind pulling at my hair. I'm just learning how to live. The thorns I knew would bloom come spring. Salt spray stung my cheeks as I pruned the cliffside roses, their scarlet blooms defiant against the ocean's roar. Below, waves clawed at the rocks, relentless and cleansing. Miss Ellie, Sophia's voice, tentative as a wisp of sea fog, carried up the path. She balanced 2 steaming mugs. Her mother's worn scarf knotted tight against the wind. Lila's former best friend. Until the trial testimony severed their bond like rotten rope. Thought you could use warming up. I showed her how to deadhead the spent blooms. Cut here, above the 5-leaf cluster, makes room for new strength. Her fingers, chilled but steady, mirrored mine. 16 years old, Sophia possessed an earnest gravity Lila never had, her eyes holding quiet curiosity instead of calculated hunger. Why roses? She asked, tucking a fallen petal into her pocket like a treasure. After everything, because thorns guard beauty, I said, watching her careful snip, and beauty refuses to surrender. She came often after that. We painted the cottage shutters seafoam green, repaired storm-lashed fence posts, and sifted through Ben's old jazz records while chowder simmered on the stove. One evening, as the lighthouse beam carved through bruised purple clouds, she leaned against the porch rail. Miss Ellie, she asked softly, how'd you stay so solid after what she did? The past tense, the deliberate she, was a bomb. By remembering, I said, handing her a fresh mug. I built a whole life before thieves tried to steal it. They only cracked the plaster. The foundation was always mine. Sophia rested her head lightly on my shoulder, weight both fragile and anchoring. Healing, I realized, wasn't erasing the scar. It was learning to navigate its terrain. The prison envelope arrived on a windswept Tuesday. Cheap, thick paper. Inmate number 73402 stamped above Lila's jagged scrawl. Inside, venom masquerading as words. Aunt Ellie, 25 years is dying slow. You won. Hope those witch pearls strangle you. I'm sorry, I trusted that coward Dex. Sorry, I got caught. You suffocated me. Your love was a cage. Ben saw it. He ran. I just wanted out. Rot in your pretty cage by the sea. Lilana remorse. Only blame, sharpened into a shiv. I carried the letter to Ben's old desk, the sea air whispering through the open window. From the locked drawer, I withdrew 2 frames. One, Lila at 10, beaming, clutching her first-place science fair trophy. We won, Auntie L. I'd driven through a hailstorm to get her there. 2, her prison mugshot, eyes stripped bare by hate, a grotesque funhouse mirror reflection. I placed her bitter letter between them. Took my fountain pen, the one Ben gave me for our anniversary. On the back of her confession of blame, I wrote, the only thing suffocated was your conscience. Rot quietly. I mailed it unsigned. The diptych trophy, child, hollow monster, and my glacial reply found its place on the study wall beside the guard's report, detailing her trace-mashing rage. Let her ghost haunt that corner. I owed her nothing else. Sunlight now glitters on the restless sea as Sophia kneels in the garden. Digging a hole for a new rosebush Ben's blue, she insisted, Her laughter tangles with the shrieking gulls, a sweeter sound than any courtroom gavel's finality. Nearby, Frank argues good-naturedly with Dr. Chen over the grill about Miles Davis's tempo. The scent of charring salmon cutting through the salt air. I sip iced tea, the cool glass against my palm, and watch the horizon stretch forever. News came yesterday, the Eleanor Mayfield Resilience Scholarship welcomed its third recipient, a young man who survived his father's attempt to smother him for insurance money. He sent a pressed, deep crimson rose with his thank you note. It rests now in a small glass dish beneath Lila's diptych, a vibrant, breathing counterpoint to her decay. They plotted my death for months, measuring it in milligrams and forged documents. I orchestrated the death of their freedom, their stolen identities, and every lie they ever called love. My peace isn't borrowed comfort. It's reclaimed, teared fiercely by thorns, watered by salt spray and memory, blooming relentlessly toward the sun. Sophia waves, garden soil smudged like war paint on her cheek. Miss Ellie, deep enough, perfect, sweetheart, I call back, my voice carrying clear and strong on the wind. It rushes over the cliffs, over the distant town, over the concrete walls where Lila counts the years. Let her hear it bloom. The years unspooled like seafoam on sand, quiet, persistent, washing the jagged edges smooth. Lila remains caged in concrete and steel, her parole appeals bleeding out in bureaucratic stalemates. Dex, facing stiffer charges as the poison procurer, won't see moonlight for 25 years. Their mutual blame echoes in prison visiting rooms. She masterminded it. He botched the dosage. A shrill duet fading into a Sophia graduates nursing school next spring, top of her class. Her Resilience Scholarship medal gleaming beside a pressed rose in her cap. She calls me every Sunday, her voice bright with futures. Lila tried to extinguish Frank's grill still. Smokes most weekends, Dr. Chen debating jazz, while Sophia tends the Ben's blue roses, now climbing the cottage walls. My days hold a rhythm deeper than fear. Pruning salt-toughened blooms, reviewing scholarship applications from survivors with fire in their eyes, lunches where Frank's laughter chases the gulls, the anger, a banked ember now only stirred to warm my hands when Eleanor's watch needs its founder's fierceness. We launched it with the last of the Vengeance Fund. Eleanor's watch arms the vulnerable hidden cameras for widows with grasping sons, legal shields for grandfathers whose grandchildren siphon pensions, emergency safe houses for those fleeing loving poisoners. Frank vets every case, his cop instincts sniffing out greed, masquerading as concerned. Last month, we installed a system for Mrs. Ruiz 92, whose grandson medicated her tea with sedatives. When he crept in at 3 a.m., cameras caught him, cuffs snapped. Mrs. Ruiz sent us lemon cake, sticky and sweet. Gracias, her note read. You made space for my joy. That joy is my true inheritance. They thought love made me weak, age, easy prey. They mistook the hearth I tended with its warmth, its sacrifices, its stubborn faith for a ready grave. But graves are silent things, and my voice carries on the wind that whips these cliffs. In Sophia's stories from the ER, in the click of Mrs. Ruiz's new locks engaging, I tend a garden of thorns and blossoms, planting both with equal care, because survival isn't softness. It's knowing precisely where the boundaries lie, and defending them with every rooted inch of your soul. The lessons aren't done. The watch never ends, and the roses, they bloom fiercer every spring.